Hello and welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights, the show where we ask SaaS founders, CEOs, marketers and investors about the lessons they've learned in their quest to grow their companies. My name is Paul Stevenson and I'm founder and CEO of SaaS marketing agency 47 Insights. On today's show I have an interview with Jamie Petten, co-founder at SaaS North and director of marketing at LSpark. I hope you enjoy it. Today I'm very pleased to have Jamie Petten, who's Director of Marketing for LSpark, which is an incubator, accelerator? Which term do you prefer?
An accelerator. So we work exclusively with B2B and enterprise SaaS companies across Canada to help them scale revenues from about 10 to 30K in MRR, 10x to over 100K MRR in our 9-month program.
Wow, so how long has LSpark been going? How long have you been with LSpark?
So as a part of the founding team, LSpark was founded 3 years ago, and so we are just in the process of working with our 4th cohort. We have 36 companies in the portfolio now.
Wow.
And
so is it a cohort of 12?
And
no, smaller. 8.
It depends each year. We go through a heavy vetting and selection process wherein our business development team will reach out to the Canadian SaaS community, entrepreneurs that are interested in joining the accelerator program. We hold office hours with them, and then we actually bring in a majority of the investment community across Canada. So lots of the VCs that you see here today at SaaS North, whether it's BDC or Innovia or Whitecap, and we ask the men and women from those firms to make a selection on our behalf. So depending
That's
on
smart.
then it's double vetted, and we're ensured that we're working with a high potential group of companies, and then we're off to the races for 9 months, helping them to grow revenues and then subsequently raising investment if all goes well.
So in terms of if there are any like SaaS founders, startups out there, what criteria other than like the stage that they're at? Do you have I don't expect you to go through the whole criteria, but is there any kind of shortcut tips or pointers you can give people, which means, we'd be more interested if you were like this or like that?
Yeah, so I think just basics, Canadian, and B2B or enterprise software. So we don't really play in the consumer SaaS space. And then from stage perspective, as long as the companies have a product in market and they've found product market fit, we really come into play to provide insight and an aggressive mentorship model that will help the companies to create month-over-month growth in their sales process. So as long as there's some early sales, we can then help them to find repeatability.
You can build on it. Yeah, you can't build on nothing.
You have to have
something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and how long is the program?
The program's 9 months, and so we'll work with the companies in a concentrated, high-touch way over the course of the 9 months to help them get to their goals. Typically, we will always bring in a mentor. Our mentors are seasoned execs from the tech and SaaS space across Canada who are dedicated one-to-one for the whole 9 months.
Wow.
And so those companies have a unique opportunity to really embed that mentor into the company and get them to pull up their socks and do a bit of work on their behalf as well. They build a plan from the top down on where do they want to be and what do they want to achieve 9 months from now, and then we work backwards to keep them accountable to the plan. So we slap them around a little bit in weekly operational review meetings, but it's all for their benefit. When you're in a high growth scale company and you've brought in enough revenue to indicate that investment is a good idea, founders then have to become accountable to a board. And so we're trying to get them into cadence of accountability, even in advance of bringing in any venture.
No, that's great. And it's so important because there's no point having the best product in the world if you can't find a way to run the business side of it properly.
Exactly.
Great. So, but you haven't always been in SaaS, have you?
No.
So, if we sort of back up, what were you doing before you joined LSpark?
So 3.5 years ago, I was lying on a beach in Jamaica.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It was an awful job. I hated it, especially in the wintertime. So prior to LSpark, I spent 4 years launching and growing a boutique hotel in Negril, Jamaica. And so to say that I was not in tech and SaaS isn't gross understatement. It was a huge learning curve for me to understand the community and the players within the community as I came into my LSpark role. But at the same time, my role encompassed everything from building out operations, marketing, sales, and business development, and even some investment with the Business Development Bank of Canada, the National Bank of Jamaica, and some angel investors. And what I realized over the course of that time is, SaaS is an underpinning to operating, enterprise SaaS is the underpinning of operating any healthy business.
It is now.
And all things, it is now. So all things kind of came full circle for me.
So what persuaded you to leave your Jamaican beach dream job?
Yeah,
Come to cold Ottawa.
I think what I was so passionate about in the 4 years that I was in Jamaica is in the experience of building a business from the ground up. And there were key lessons that I learned along the way. Once we got to the point, though, of full occupancy and healthy sales, repeatable sales, I just started to get really bored, and I wanted to work with startups again and get my hands dirty in growing and building a new venture.
So you're a marketer that's always looking for a fresh challenge. Mm-hmm. You've been there and done that.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing about your situation is, these however many cohorts you've had, 3 cohorts, 36 SaaS startups, you must have seen, just in that short time, you must have had some insights into the way that these companies can grow.
Yeah.
Grow quite quickly, because hey, that's what you guys do.
Yeah, and I think lending back even to the time that I was in Jamaica, so the project itself was a $6 million project, but from a marketing perspective, we did not have any marketing spend. It just,
nice.
It all went into
zero budget marketing.
It all went into the beauty of the property, and as it should have. And so we were really scrappy in the early days, and there were some things that I learned along the way, just in terms of creating discoverability right at the onset. So, it's not really enough just to pop up a landing page or pop up a website and build it and they will come. We recognized very early on that we needed to get out to, third-party sites and have our brand there and out there. So we were very early in adopting TripAdvisor as that first point of contact. And we built out the sales all from an inbound perspective. And so in order to do that, the first thing we did was work on our customer experience. And customer experience for us in Jamaica equaled brand. So the more that our hotel attendees were enjoying the experience, the more that they were rating us higher on TripAdvisor. We ended up becoming the #1 hotel on TripAdvisor in Jamaica, and still are to this day.
So is there something to learn from that, maybe for SaaS companies? So, it's about customer experience, it's about creating a brand with great values that looks after customers from the start.
I think so, yeah, and I think that we've recognized that with our portfolio companies. They've found product market fit, and they have a few early adopters for them to really concentrate on those customers and their experience, and then subsequently leveraging them as advocates within their industry then to bring in new customers. And that's what we did in Jamaica, and it worked really well. What it helped to do, though, is to also build up the credibility of our brand so that we could access channel. As a private property in that country, it wasn't easy for us to get on the online tour operators like Expedia and Booking.com in the early days, and we were being vetted. And it's very similar for our SaaS companies. You're one off, trying
nobody
to make...
knows you.
Yeah, nobody knows
nobody
you.
Cares.
You're trying to make sales any way you can just to keep, the team fed.
It's all about the hustle.
Exactly. But they are, those channels, if you do it right, are vetting you. And so building up brand through that customer experience enabled us the credibility to get onto channel. And once we got onto channel, it was an instant influx of, as many SaaS companies would say, influx of customers. And then at that point, it's all operations and ensuring that you can keep the boat afloat.
So day to day, what does your role at LSpark encompass? Is it working, with these startups, or is it just spreading the good word about what you guys do?
It's been a combination of both.
Right.
we ourselves have been building a brand at Allspark and also building out our customer experience. And so in our 3 years, we've worked really closely with our startups to ensure success for them. But we take a portfolio approach in terms of the companies that we work with and know that the stretch goals that we're creating for them, not all of them will meet, but a select few will. And so my role has encompassed everything from the building of Allspark's brand and the building of the SaaS community that we see here to the founding of SaaS North conference, and then providing
We haven't even talked about SaaS North. Yeah.
tertiary marketing experience, just additional advice that I can provide along the way from my background. But one thing that I think we have learned at Allspark, even from a SaaS marketing perspective, we've, in building our community, have created amazing events, and subsequently out of those events have created a lot of great content. But to create content is it's not enough. Distribution is everything, and I think we're really starting to solve that problem for ourselves. By way of bringing in an excellent community manager who's just like living and breathing online to get our content out there, and now leveraging the community that we do have to share.
That's great. I mean, that sounds like you're really motoring, and the reputation. We've never met before, but what I see of Allspark online, it's just really proactive, and there's a lot going on.
Thank you.
It just comes across really well.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
That's great. So, should we talk about SaaS North?
Sure. This is where we are today.
Yeah. So, tell me the backstory to SaaS North. Because it's only 2 years old.
This is our second conference. So, 2.5 years ago, Leo and Pat and I, we might have been driving to a conference ourselves, but we were talking about how we had just attended SaaStr, and we're very impressed with the community that Jason was building in San Francisco. However, the content and the delegation was extremely US-centric. We didn't see a lot of Canadian success stories making their way to the stage. And
there are some great ones.
And there are some amazing ones, as we've seen here at the conference. So we started to talk about our own Canadian SaaS ecosystem and the many successes that span across the country, whether it's Hootsuite out in Vancouver or Real Matters now in Toronto, Shopify in Ottawa. And so those are the big exits or privately listed companies, but there's a groundswell of startups
there's a ton,
and mid-sized companies that we engage with and interact with all of the time. And what we thought of was how can we bring everybody together from our Canadian community to shine a light on what's happening north of the border in our ecosystem, but also to educate the SaaS companies that are growing up now with tactical strategies through the content that is delivered through the conference. There are a lot of startup conferences that focus on entrepreneurship and starting a company and being a founder. We wanted to go a layer deeper from that and really dig into digital marketing, inbound and outbound, customer success and onboarding, product management, UI and UX. So that these founders could arm their teams with this tactical strategies they would need to succeed here.
So there's 3 of you in the car.
There's 3 of us in the car.
Talk about this. You decide it's a good idea, and then you just make it happen?
Well, no, not quite. We didn't do it on our own at all. We started a steering committee. So one of our lessons learned and what we even encourage our companies to do is create an advisory board and bring together the leaders in the industry to help us to shape the direction of where this should go and gain feedback of what they're wanting to learn and network from. And so our initial steering committee came together in 2.5 years ago. We hit the ground running really quickly, actually. We had, multiple speakers confirmed, sponsorship confirmed, but what we didn't have was event production expertise at all. So Cube Business Media came in as a partner of ours in our first year.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
Outsource the stuff you don't know about.
And what they've been able to do is create a quality experience for our community so that all of the details are left to them, and the delegates can just enjoy, meeting one another and learning from the speakers. And so they've enabled us to really scale the conference and are just, running with it like crazy.
So it's Wednesday. It's the first day today.
Yeah.
At the end of the first day. That's why we look so tired.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with the late night drinks.
Those are coming though.
And you're just 2 years in. So where do you see it going? Do you think? You're already planning next year.
Yeah.
I think you've got the early bird tickets out. Is
I'm
that right?
sure we do. Yeah. Cube is way ahead of the curve on every front.
How do you see it sort of developing?
Well, I think twofold. We of course want to grow the community and grow the audience here at SaaS North and grow the delegation. I think we've hit a good critical mass of the players in the Canadian SaaS ecosystem. How can we now bring in others, from around the world en masse to learn from our Canadian success stories and provide their feedback back. So I think growing this community here in person, as well as growing our online community. So I was mentioning before, distribution is everything. We have all of this amazing content, video content, blog content, and Aaron Blasky, our community manager, is just in the process right now of pulling all of that together into a publication, Voice of the North. And so I'd really love to see our delegation live and breathe online through the content throughout the year and grow that engagement.
So it's not just an annual event, but it's an ongoing dialogue with everybody in the SaaS market in Canada and beyond. And beyond. So, experienced professional marketer, now with SaaS expertise. Is there one thing that maybe a couple of things, but is there anything that you do to make sure that you don't burn out, that you balance work, your professional work and your life?
It's a great question and a timely one. I personally recently had a health scare, and I think it's put a lot into perspective. Everything's fine, but I think for me, I'm getting better at it. Just taking the times to take breaks, reflect, and pause. As a founder in any startup, or being a part of a startup team, the hustle and the grind. If you're in the right company and you're really enjoying it, it's thrilling. And we all live and breathe growing companies.
Making something from nothing.
Making something from nothing. But at the same time, I think it's really resonated with me now more than ever. That we have to keep ourselves healthy and build ourselves up before we can put our best foot forward into the companies we're building.
So, do you do yoga or run?
Hot yoga every once in a while.
Hot yoga?
Yeah.
It's in a kind of steamy room.
Yeah, it just clears the head and sets me right for the day. But in addition to that, just taking small breaks throughout the day to, have a glass of water and think about how things are going.
Go outside.
Take a walk. Yeah, those types of things. And then I really do try, not for the full weekends, but at least on a Sunday, to just shut off and enjoy the time with my family and my friends.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I put that question today to 4 or 5 founders, CEOs, and it's amazing. I think it's a testament to Canada, really, that the old view of working at 18-hour days and crushing it is being seen finally as being unrealistic, and people are trying to balance stuff out because we all know where that leads eventually.
Yeah, and I think business...
You can do it for a bit.
Business happens, throughout the day, 24 hours a day. And now more than ever in a, cloud-based business environment, it's easy to continue working. And the 9 to 5 just is not a reality. But being able to, as I said, take breaks, take a step back at any time intermittently throughout the day, I think it's really key and important to keeping a fresh and healthy mind.
Great. Well, it's great to see you. Great to meet you here. And glad the health scare is over.
Yeah, all good.
Thanks very much for putting up with us here at SaaS North.
No problem.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jamie. For more info on the SaaS North conference, please visit www.saasnorth.com. For more info on LSpark, please visit www.l-spark.com. Next week, I'll be talking with Craig Fitzpatrick, founder and CEO at PageCloud. For more info about this show and to get our links to iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher and YouTube, please visit www.47insights.com/podcast. And if you have any SaaS marketing insights that you'd like to share on the show, get in touch via that page. Until next time.